next morning Nick woke early. He'd had a great night's sleep in a comfortable room and thought about Shanty. He ate a full English breakfast and went to hire a motorbike and rented a Honda Wave. He then phoned Shanty. "Hello Shanty, it's Nick. We spoke last night and I called to see if the beach date was still on." The phone went quiet as Shanty collected her thoughts. "Nick," she said, "how are you? Thanks for calling, I thought I'd upset you." "I'm fine," said Nick, "and no, you didn't upset me. I'm sorry I tried to push you. I haven't learnt about Cambodian people yet." Shanty laughed. "You will," she said. "OK," said Shanty, "I'll meet you outside Dolphin Shack on Ochoteel Beach at 2 p.m. "Perfect," said Nick. "See you then." Nick hung up and looked at his guidebook and found the map with directions to Ochoteel Beach. He drove round the Golden Line roundabout and took a small road direct into Ochoteel Beach. Something ahead then caught his eye. 3 figures walked towards him on the opposite side of the road. He stared with shock and disbelief as he passed the men, who looked at him. 2 he recognised. Fear cut through him and he stared at the figures, who now seemed focused on something on the road ahead. Nick then faced forward. Shit! He pulled the front brake lever with such a force that his front wheel stopped dead, bringing up the rear end of the bike and launching Nick airborne. He flew through the air like a dart. "He must be one of the most accident-prone blokes on the planet," said Spock. "He'll blame us for that," mumbled Stu. "I know," said Spock, "but I suppose we had better help him get his head out of that cow's arse." The poor creature, along with her cows and 3 other nomadic cows, she had been eating at the grass verge by the side of the road, and was now lazing at the centre of the road at her usual sunny spot. The old cow stood at the rear of the group with her month-old calf. She never expected that her lazy morning would be violently shattered. After her initial shock she let out a painful wailing moo. The others in the herd got up and bolted, and the old cow started to run, with Nicholas Godfrey of Brighton's head firmly stuck, his arms and legs flailing wildly. Spock and Stu ran and caught hold of Nick's thrashing legs and held firmly on as the cow carried on running, and with a pop and a squelch Nick was free. Pon recovered Nick's motor and wheeled it to a nearby bar, where Spock and Stu took the shock stunned Nick. The commotion had drawn a lot of attention, and customers and staff of the restaurant, now in fits of laughter, helped the 2 lads, and sat Nick down outside the Cool Banana restaurant. Nick groggily looked round at Spock and Stu, and then noticed Pon. Although his face was vaguely familiar, he couldn't recognise the man with the Elvis mullet. "Spock, give him your hat and let him wipe the slime off his face," Stu chuckled. Spock's retort went unnoticed as the laughing waitress appeared with a bowl of soapy water. She gave a towel to Nick to dry himself and then proceeded to wash his face and head. Now coming around a little, he looked at his 2 nemesis. "What are you doing here?" he stuttered. "We're on a secret mission," beamed Spock, and nodded towards Pon. "With the mad monk with the mullet," continued Stu, who also nodded towards Pon. "How about you? Why are you here?" asked Spock. Holiday," said Nick, wiping the slime from around his mouth. The owner of the restaurant came out and inquired if Nick was okay. He gave Nick a brandy, which he knocked back. "Where you staying, matey?" asked Stu. "Downtown," replied Nick.